tribute to Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee, because it was Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee who was consistently raising that voice in the House. And on the other hand, Dr. Ambedkar, who made a vociferous speech in support of Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee, and he said, ironically, all over the world, especially in the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, the First Amendment was always introduced to enlarge the civil liberties and freedom of speech. Ironically, the liberal icon of independent India used the First Amendment to curtail freedom of speech. Narad Jayanti is the celebration of the true spirit of Samvada, the freedom of speech in Indian tradition. 200 years ago, on Narad Jayanti, Pandit Jugal Kishore Shukla started the famous periodical called Udant Martanda, the Rising Sun. Dr. Jishnuda already referred to it. But there was one important element to it. As he rightly said, earlier Bengal Gazetteer and all other publications started, but all of them were started at the behest of the British administration. Udant Martanda was a unique initiative which unfortunately couldn't last long, but it created a spirit. One, it was started on Narad Jayanti. Two, on the first page of Udant Martanda, the Narad Munis, the Maharishi Narad's image was published. It was dedicated to Narada. But third important, the tagline of Udant Martanda was unique, which actually ignited the spirit of Indian journalism. And the tagline was Bharat ke hit hetu. In the interest of Bharat. Journalism has to be in the interest of Bharat, and that spirit survived throughout the freedom struggle. The nature of colonization changed. Our response to our freedoms, to that colonization with our freedom struggle also changed. When the onslaught was religious, our response was religious institutions. When the onslaught was economic, our response was Swadeshi. When the education got anglicized, our response was Rashtriya Shiksha, national education. And when the response was colonization through journalism, our response was national journalism. Udant Martanda became a symbol of this exactly 200 years ago. And in that sense, Vishwa Samvad Kendra reinstituting this Narad Award in Kolkata in the change scenario has a special significance. Narada generally, like many historical figures, is a distorted one. And most of my media friends actually follow the distorted version of Narada. The one who is igniting feuds, dividing society, creating quarrels. But Narada actually stood for three principles. Narada's Bhakti Sutra actually are the guiding principles of journalism. Actually, he wrote 78 sutras, but three specific sutras are most important. The first one is that the communication has to be to establish truth and dharma. Secondly, communication cannot be on the basis of hearsay. If I have to use the present day language of media, Google News and table news has become a fashion. Narada says you have to be on the spot, not just hearing, not just listening, verifying with the sources the truth. But the third and the most important thing, the truth is not to be told to everybody at all the times. It has to be told responsibly at the right time. Bharat-Pakistan war is going on, Operation Sindoor is going on, and somebody is planting some news, and suddenly some journalists start, how many Rafales are fallen? That is not responsible journalism. You have every right to question the policies of the government. You have every right to investigate the stories. But the ultimate objective, the truth and Dharma, should not be forgotten. Today, when the state of West Bengal is undergoing a change, where the true nationalist spirit of Bengal that guided the entire nation during the freedom struggle is finding its roots. The cultural renaissance that we saw, today we proudly sing our national song and national anthem, and nobody in India could ever believe that originally it was written in Bengali. Most of the people believe that it is written in Sanskrit. There is nothing wrong in having pride in our own language. But remember, our identities were never an obstacle to our larger national identity. Unfortunately, due to colonial construct, now we see each other with different prisms which never existed before British arrived. Now, when we have an opportunity in last 78, 79 years, and especially after the adoption and enaction of our constitution, we have attained many milestones. Historically also we have many milestones. There is no other civilization in the world that could have survived this kind of onslaughts, right from the Greeks to the British, and still retain its own original civilizational ethos. There is no single example in the entire world. People generally tell us the history of defeats. Bharat is the story of resilience and survival amidst odds. We need to learn to celebrate it. Similarly, in last 75 years, there are many milestones. Right from our Honorable President today, to many people in state level or local level, we see rising from very humble background. That is the success of Indian democracy. No other country that became independent in 1940s and 50s could survive this kind of vibrant democracy. Bengal has seen many bad phases where democratic rights were trampled, voting rights were denied, even opposition parties were not allowed to exist or contest, and still we democratically gave a reply, barring the few months of emergency, which is also completed 50 years. Bharat always found a reconciliatory, dialogue-based, Narada-based approach to all problems. Democracy is our ethos. And the crux of that democracy, which West Bengal has been fighting, or larger Bengali spirit has been fighting, not just for last 60, 70 years, for almost 800 years. What is that USP? And I have just one message, especially for me, media friends. Bharat has a unique USP, and I call that USP as spiritual democracy. Bharat is the only land where you can choose your God. Bharat is the only land you can worship the Nirguna, the Saguna, the idol, 33 forms of idols. You can create a new version of God. You can worship a living person, consider him a guru, and worship him as God or her as God. You have a feminine version of God or goddesses. You can declare yourself God. and you can always say that I don't believe in God, and still nobody will kill you for that. That is the spirit of Bharat. The struggle that Bengal has seen with the fundamentalist forces is not about religion. It is about this fundamental principle of spiritual democracy. I believe that our spiritual democracy is the foundation of our constitutional democracy, where everybody is allowed to choose his or her own God. When somebody says, my God is the only God, that is un-Indian, unconstitutional. When somebody says, my God also can be a God, that is Indian and constitutional. So when there are attempts to divide the society on religious, on caste lines, on linguistic lines, we need to remember one important sutra, and because Honorable Governor is here, and I had to keep my speech very short. One important sutra that actually Narada justified and actually defined the entire spirit of journalism, we should take it as the fundamental spirit of Narad Jayanti, where Narada Smriti, Narada Purana, Narada Bhakti, these are different versions, but one sutra that actually defined, where he said, Jati, Dhana, Pada. In present day constitutional terms, you can say caste, creed, religion, gender should not be the basis of your reporting, of your samvada. Everybody should be treated with equanimity, with the sense of justice for the restoration of Dharma. The icons, the legends who have been felicitated today have actually presented us with that kind of spirit of restoring Dharma. I hope this Narad Jayanti function will inspire the future generations to take a clue from the work that these veterans have done. I congratulate the Vishwa Samvad Kendra, Paschim Banga. I also thank Honorable Governor of West Bengal for gracefully accepting this invitation and recognizing the spirit of free speech in a new liberated West Bengal. Thank you very much for inviting me. Namaste.